Now I request our Dr. Khadar Valli sir, please come on to the dais, sir. You want to say a few words? Please, sir.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to this evening's program. It's a matter of great pleasure for me that Dr. Khadar Valli is here, and we have all heard so much about the great work he's been doing. And we are living in difficult times in one sense, because there is pollution everywhere, and there are so many things which contribute to the demeaning of our life and health. If you look at pollution in air, in soil, in water, it is everywhere, and in the food we eat as well. So this percolates into the food we eat as well. And recently, you would all have been reading that there is a growing awareness that many of the diseases that we suffer from, whether it is chronic diseases or whether it is episodal diseases, can be traced back to the food we eat. And of course, this is not a new awakening. But what is probably new is that there is a growing awareness that these diseases can be treated and cured by attending to the food we eat. So in this direction, there are a number of efforts, and a very notable effort is that by Dr. Khadar Valli and his associates and his team, who have been propagating the millet diet. Of course, he will speak. He's the best person to talk about it. And then they have shown wonderful results. Many people have benefited from it, and we have all heard so many good things about the kind of work that he has been doing. And therefore, it's a matter of great pleasure that he is here with us on this campus today to talk about his work and to talk about the philosophy behind what he is doing. So we really look forward to listening to him, and we are really thankful that you are here with us, sir. Welcome once again, and we look forward to listening to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. You can take your seats. Now I just want to introduce Dr. Khadar Valli. It's very simple because everyone knows about him. Still, I just want to add a few things. Dr. Khadar Valli, he was from a small place called Produturu from Andhra Pradesh, and he has done his BSc, MSc, then he has done his doctorate in steroids from ISC Bangalore. And then he worked in DuPont like many of us in USA, and he left the job with the intention that instead of working for a foreign country in foreign, then better to serve to improve the health of the Indians, and he wants to create a sustainable, healthy society. So he started his journey, and today's program is the part of that journey. Now I request Dr. Khadar Valli to please explain us and about what is the right food and why we should use that food, what we are eating. If it is not right, then what is right, and all so on and so on. So I request Dr. Khadar Valli, please take over, sir. Thank you.
Good evening. It's a pleasure and privilege to come and talk to you on this dais. It's been pouring in Mumbai and it's been pouring almost everywhere, and unseasonal rains for us. In Mysore, it used to rain June to August. But our Western Ghats are being washed away in the form of landslides. And not only in India, almost all over the world, the rivers are drying up. And we do not want to accept that the rivers are drying up because the whole world is drinking coffee and tea. And this straightforward accepting the mistake that we have done has not been acknowledged in a civilized way by the human race even today. And extending the food that we have been growing in the last 40, 50 years, the monoculture, and I have been very curt saying that it is industrial food culture, and the word in between food should be in quotes because it has lost its characteristics of being called food long ago, maybe 20 years ago. So industrial, in quotes, food culture has been the order of the day in the world, and that is the only reason, though many intellectuals keep claiming that there are various other factors for the present day conditions that we are in. As far as I am concerned, it is the only reason why we have all the havoc present on this planet right now. It is to produce the meat. It is to produce the sugar. It is to produce the milk. It is to produce the eggs. It is to produce the rice and wheat. That's all. Nothing else is the reason for all the troubles that we are facing. Last 60 years, let me go back, 1950. The amount of fertilizers and pesticides used was not even 5,000 tons. 1950. Now, in fact, these companies do not even have the inventory. They don't know how much they are producing. Lakhs and lakhs of tons. And in the last 15, 20 years, the kind of chemicals that they are producing are so dangerous in the name of herbicides, in the name of insecticides, in the name of fungicides. The nature of these chemicals is absolutely obnoxious, deleterious to any life form, leave alone human beings. And with what wisdom we continue to do so what we are doing is amazingly a very deep question that everyone should be asking by now. If not the common man, the so-called scientists in the world should have been openly coming out and debating this question, but it has not happened till now. Very few have been questioning. Why did this happen? It's because the industry controls the so-called science. More so in the biological world. More so in the biological world. So if I now come to point by point, including the water that we drink is commercialized. Because the nature of water is changed once you make it travel in the plastic pipes. We have been distributing water, and then in the name of cleaning the water, we have been using so-called filters. And we have changed the nature of water itself. So by just drinking water the way we used to drink in the olden days, you could cure half of your diseases. And then the way we have imbalanced our bodies due to the usage of milk. And this is the worst thing that has happened to human race. This is the worst thing and the most unscientific thing that has happened to the human race is drinking milk, using milk as food. Not only that, the so-called biological world, the books, the science describes milk as complete food. which is the worst thing that can happen to human race. Milk, by definition, is the most beautiful and unstable product that is produced by mammals through their breasts, delivered to the babies directly through the nipples of the mothers into the mouth of the baby. That should be it about milk. But we have taken it in the name of business, producing it in all horrible ways, completely loading it with steroids and feeding our babies. And the culture that has it spread, the women are now menstruating at the age of 7, 8. In fact, recently I have had a case of a girl menstruating at the age of 4. Can you believe a 4-year-old girl is menstruating? And it is not one rare case. The whole human race now, the menstruating age, which was say 1950s, it was around 14 years or 15 years. Now it has come to 9, 11. And in America, it is already reaching, average age itself is 7. And this horrific thing has happened and no one is bothered. No one questioned. And it's all because human race has embraced milk as one of the food products, because it fits into the model of economy. They have started producing milk in large quantities through so-called biotechnology, injecting steroids, hormones, and we think we are feeding our babies food. And if you ask any doctor, oh, you need calcium. You don't get calcium from the milk. The milk, 1 liter, has got only approximately 900 milligrams to 1 gram. And you cannot absorb calcium directly. It has to be slowly and steadily enter the calcium metabolism only after the fermentation through the microbiome that we have in our body. And if you wanted calcium really in your system, you could get 10 times more calcium from sesame seeds, 4 times more calcium from finger millets. But they do not fit the bill for economic model. So the companies, steroid companies have to come into play, the antibiotic companies have to come into play, the fodder companies have to come into play. All these things are done on industrial level. The same thing has to happen all over the world. And these technologies, in the name of science and development, have been propagated all over the world, and everyone on this planet drinking milk the same way, the same thing. And the local foods, local food culture have been completely annihilated by this industrial food production and food producing methods. The centralized way of producing food has been more obvious in the last 25 years. And big companies, in the name of science and development, have been propagating this through the doctors, through the scientists, through the universities. And it is rather naive if someone asks the question why the universities are not talking, why the scientists are not talking, why the doctors are not talking. They will not talk because they are completely in the hands of these big companies. So the science has been completely pushed aside. So we should not be taking a single drop of milk into our mouths, but then the whole world has been losing all its natural resources to grow these genetically modified cows and to produce the milk and meat. So to produce 1 liter of milk, you need to approximately, after the cow becomes lactating state, you need minimum of 1000 liters to get 1 liter of milk. And then to produce 1 kilo of meat, it requires around 50,000 liters of water. The grasslands that are created to produce these kind of meats, each day thousands of acres of forests are being completely just denuded, and then the grasslands are being produced. To produce this grass, people found it difficult, so they shifted to give food through soybean and corn, genetically modified. So now the whole industry is running around producing soybean and corn. And to produce these two genetically modified materials, the whole world is turned topsy-turvy. And in this grand travel is one of the reasons why Brazil has been burning its forests. All these things are happening right under our noses. Human race has been losing its sperm count. In another next 20 years, human race will not have sperms in the male counterparts. But before that happened, something already has happened. Whatever sperms that are left around in the last 10, 20 years has been the responsible reason why we have the so-called differently abled kids population growing year by year. Now approximately 28% of the kids born are ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive diseases. What I am trying to communicate to you is that we have the CPUs not being properly produced when the embryo is growing. So that means the material that we are supplying to the mother when the baby is being made are completely out of whack. The fat material that makes the neurons and that itself is not all right, and that's the reason why we are producing non-functional kids. And sadly, we have attached bathrooms in the bedrooms. The reason is we are not able to hold our urine. As soon as you get the signal, you have to run into the toilet. That means nervous disorders have. This is one of the simple things that I am trying to communicate. You cannot hold urine for a minute. In fact, the business of catheter and rubber sachets, 18 people in 100 are carrying these sachets in America. And it is not very far that the same thing happens in India, in big cities first, and then slowly it transcends to other places. So this technology keeps invading all over the world because the same food, the same processed foods, the same methods percolate in the form of economical activity, and then we are all suffering from the same diseases, whether you are in New York, whether you are in Bombay, whether you are in Pune, whether you are in a smaller town and then villages. We have now Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, kind of nervous disorders that are never heard of, found in small villages of Indian towns. Why all these things are happening? These diseases were not there before. I have not talked about cancer, diabetes, kidney, CKD. All these are actually in between taken over the human race. In fact, if you count the percentages of these diseases, we have almost 40 to 60% people taking heart-related, either it is BP or heart blocks or heart dysfunctions. So 60% of people are taking the heart-related medicines. 30 to 40% of people are nowadays counting as thyroid patients, the endocrine gland system going haywire. 30 to 40% people are now counting to be diabetic. 16% people are counting to be mentally not oriented to do any job properly. And 23% people are taking sleeping tablets because they cannot sleep in the night. And prostate problems, that's what I have been talking about. You cannot hold your urine, almost 20% of the people. And sperm count has gone down to 20 millions, 15 millions, in many cases azoospermia, oligospermia. All these diseases now, if you count, out of 100, it is going beyond 200. That means each patient doesn't have one disease, now they have one or more diseases. And it is the same story in every country. Only difference is the pie chart colors vary if you plot. This being the case, what we so-called scientists and doctors come up with is a solution, in quotes again. Oh, you have a problem with heart? We will print 3D printing, an artificial one, and will fix. Oh, you have a problem with kidney? No problem, we will transplant. You have a problem with your knees? Oh, we have small, middle and large. So the problem is that we are not able to sustain God-given parts due to our mistakes, and you want to fix it with artificial stuff. That's all that you can come up with. And just to fix a kidney, of late, till now people have been saying we'll transplant from some other person to immunosuppressants, the failed experiment. It doesn't work in many cases, 90% of the cases. So instead of figuring out the real reasons, the economic model of this medical system is running around fixing the peripheral systems and calling it as wonderful, scientifically advanced technologies, reaching no one in its true sense. Reaching no one in its true sense. This being the case, first when I went to America in 1986 or 87, I first came across a young boy, a young girl of 6 years old becoming, what do I call? She has become women at the age of 6 by starting the menstruation process. So that gave me the shock of my life. And then I asked the doctor there, I was just a young boy, 26 years of age or something like that when I first. Why this has happened? And he said in his casual American way, why do you worry? Go and mind your business. That really shook me. But then it didn't take me long. To be exact, 3 days. That the America mothers have been feeding their babies this artificial milk. Hence the imbalance. And that moment I decided before this happens in India, I should go back. But then by the time I came back, the technology came, and then the same problem started in India. Not only in India, all over the world. Because these companies work meticulously to improve their profits. But then who is suffering? All the human race. And if it happened in the kids, what happens to the women? What happens to the men when the imbalance strikes? The results are there for everyone to see, but then no one wants to acknowledge. Beauty parlors have been increasing. What does it indicate? That there has been hair on the face of the women, and we are going to the beauty parlors, not questioning why it has come in the first place. Why? And their menstrual cycles have been disturbed, lot of imbalance, lot of breast nodules, fibroids, lot of pain during periods time. All these things have been not accounted. Instead, we have resorted to painkillers all over the world, be it steroids or be it further nerve, what do you call, sedatives, all kinds of names are there. That's all that we could come up with. While doing so, these tablets, instead of healing the problem, they started shifting the problem one place to the other. And many painkillers have caused enormous damage to the kidneys, and the kidney dysfunction started. No problem, we have another tablet, we have another technique. So, of late, there have been dialysis instruments taking over many hospitals. It's a big wing, and they have been running day in and day out because there are too many chronic kidney diseases. Creatinine is increasing in the blood, urea levels are increasing in the blood, they are not able to take breath properly, they are not able to urinate properly. So, everything being arranged artificially. And we keep, I don't know what to say, claiming that we are advancing, going into big domains of advanced scientific research in doing this, doing that, cancer, all kinds of big terms and technical words we have been just lipping, not doing anything, because nothing has been healed so far. Nothing has been healed so far. So, if a patient comes to a doctor saying that he is not able to hold his urine, if not in 1 month, if not in 2 months, if not in 3 months, at least after 6 months, the doctor should be able to make the patient free of the problem. And that we call, in simple terms, a cure. But that has not been coming at all. And if it happens, next problem starts. That's how we have shifted BP into kidney problems into BP problems. Lipid profiles, there has been so much talk about this being all right, that being all right. The general ranges have been shifted from this to that, that to this, to suit the pharmaceutical companies. All this while going on, no one ever talked about food that makes us. No one ever talked about food that makes us, because the whole industry has been hijacked by these companies. So, no biology teacher is talking about it. What all we talk about is healthcare industry. These are the kinds of things that we have been living with. So, we have so many diseases, so many problems, and nothing comes into the papers. Recently, one of the senators in America has been fighting about vaccines, and the vaccination is another big industry. Every kid has to be vaccinated in the name of protecting them. If only you give the right milk, that is the mother's breast milk, the vaccinations go on by itself in nature. And then if you were to expose the babies as they grow up to various kinds of naturally available materials, they build their own immunity. There is no special treatment that is required. But then it has become mandatory in some countries that you have to have vaccines if you have to take your kids into the schools, and that condition is slowly being invited in our country also. And many cases in the last few months, I have had many people coming from America bringing their kids who are mentally disabled or differently abled or autistic and all these kinds of names. We have been able to reverse many of these conditions by just using common, naturally available products. Because we have recognized in the last 20 years, if your food is not right, no medicine works. And if your food is right, no medicine is required. If your food is right, no medicine is required. And if your food is not right, no medicine works. This is a simple 2 sentences. If you just understand these 2 sentences, it is obvious that you don't need any medicine. So we need to work towards a system where we understand how to be healthy rather than how to worry about diseases. So it is like a small example I will give you. You travel in the airports, you have to go 2 hours before check-in security systems. So much energy, so much time, so much money is spent on these security systems. If only we worked to create a trustworthy system, that we all become trustworthy, all of this would have vanished. So the human race, the human societies are not working to create the trustworthiness. Instead, we are creating technologies to create more suspicion and more untrustworthiness. This is the example. So instead of working to become healthy, we have chosen the other way around. We are making ourselves more sick and then trying to fool around to make this sickness go away. So you have lost something here and you want to go and search here because you have a light there, but you have lost something here. So you should search where you have lost. So we have lost the food systems. We have lost the way we cook. In fact, if only you cook with your hands and eat, you will be better off, whatever you cook. But then we have lost. Nowadays, the people are not even cooking in their houses, and that is the culture of the foreign. And you go to America, Europe, they are not cooking. It's all centrally processed. You just bring and eat, or go to the big restaurants where the processed food is served with all hangama. So all these small, simple things we have been losing step by step in the name of civilized, in the name of modernization, in the name of globalization, in the name of scientific development. All these things are put together. There is no one bit here. Everything is happening all around us. Hence, we are not able to stick our finger to one of the things. But then all these things are happening very subtly. unless you understand this big picture, you cannot solve the problems. So the simple things that we have to do as far as food is concerned, you need to grow locally, process in your house with your hands and consume. But then that system doesn't exist anywhere now on this planet. Because everyone wants sugar. Sugar, let us see technically how it is necessary for our bodies. It is the penultimate product that our body produces in the blood after the so-called digestive process is complete. Sugar becomes glucose and fructose, and glucose is absorbed and then transported into the cells through the help of insulin, which is produced in the pancreas, and then it is burnt into carbon dioxide and water and giving energy, which is trapped by ATP for our biological actions, the energy. Simple. So now we have been loading our body, the blood, with this sugar. Tons and tons of it is produced. Maharashtra alone produces around 6 lakh tons of sugar per year. Karnataka 4 lakhs, Andhra 3 lakhs, Tamil Nadu 3 lakhs. Totally around 40 lakhs tons of sugar is produced. And sugar is the last thing that you want to put into your mouth because it is the penultimate product that your whole digestive tract is designed for. So you produce the end product, put it in the mouth, and then what happens to the whole system? Kaput. Anyone who knows little bit of biochemistry should be able to figure this out. So any sugar molecule that touches your body is going to kick in the reverse steps. So you lose your immunity. That means the most deadliest poison you can put in your mouth is, of course, it's a slow poison. Sugar. So we should have been teaching in our schools, do not touch sugar. But then it is a byproduct of liquor industry. The confectionery addiction of British brought the sugar in 1850s, and then it spread like wildfire. So we started denuding the forests and growing sugarcane. Sugarcane is actually naturally not found, very rare commodity it is. The grasses. But then the human race hugged it. Last 100 years, almost 28% of the agriculturable land has been kept aside for this sugarcane, not only in India, all over the world. In fact, in America, I believe 5 lakes have just evaporated in producing this sugarcane completely. The grasslands in Florida, many lakes. And it is created havoc in the health of humans. So, if you want to close down the hospitals in the world, what all you have to do is don't give milk, don't give sugar, don't touch coffee and tea. I can close down 70% of the hospitals in the world in the next 1 year, if human race decides. That's where our diseases are coming from. And then come to rice and wheat and meat, the remaining hospitals can be closed down. So we are now eating what we are not supposed to eat, and then, as I told you, we are searching something here and we have lost it here. So you need to look back and see why the earlier generations didn't have all these diseases. But then we invented some fake reasons, saying it is genetic. Diabetes, genetic. Cancer, genetic. This, genetic. That, genetic. All these genes are also controlled by the food that you eat. So if you eat the right food, the genetic code, the genetic dance happens properly. So there was no diabetes in 1900, 1 in crore. Now in 2000, it is 30 out of 100. So how can it be a hereditary problem? It's the food that has changed. There were no disabled kids, maybe 1 in crore, now it is 30 in 100. There was no cancer, now 17% of the people have cancer. All this simple analysis of the data clearly tells that it is the food that has changed, and that's how we have problems. And so on this simple observation, I decided 25 years ago, if I feed these so-called cancer patients, so-called diabetic patients, so I use the word so-called because these diseases do not exist. We have created them because of the wrong food. So if we change the food, we should be able to reverse this. And we actually chose so-called gangrene patients. These diabetic conditions after 5 to 10 years create a lot more diseases, be it retinopathy, the bone marrow system going haywire. So if a diabetic patient after taking 5 to 10 years of these insulin injections and trying to control his HbA1c, just walks in and just touches something hard material surfaces, he gets wounded, and then that doesn't heal because there is sugar all around in his body, and the bacteria, whatever you call, try not to, whatever you do does not heal. No antibiotics help. So you call it as gangrenous condition, and then they try to remove your fingers, then the leg, and then the foot, and everything goes on and on. So if I could reverse that gangrenous condition and bring back to normalcy, what I am proposing, that the food is the reason why these things are happening. So we chose these hard cases of gangrenous conditions and retinopathy and this kind of issues. Some people have started losing their eyesight because of the microangina getting disturbed in the eyes. So if we feed the right food, what is right food then? The right food is something that releases glucose into your bloodstream in a controlled fashion. Because the blood, the 5 liters of blood can hold so much glucose. If it exceeds that condition, it is the other way around. So if you have beyond 5 grams of glucose in the whole blood system, you are exceeding, and then the glucose is being worked out into different products, be it cholesterol, be it triglycerides, be it fat material, all these things start happening, glycogen. And then if you have still excess of glucose, what does it do? The body, the endocrine system, everything works in tandem, puts the glucose onto the blood, red blood cells itself. So now you have red blood cells, that hemoglobin, instead of carrying oxygen around to the cells so that it can break glucose and give you energy, it has been now loaded with glucose, and you call it HbA1c. So HbA1c should be below 6 or below 7 to be normal, but now we have condition HbA1c increasing to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and HP going down. And this is the condition of your diabetic condition. It's all because we are flooding the blood with high amounts of glucose. In dealing with this unnatural condition, the body has tried to do all kinds of gimmicks, be it glycogen formation, be it cholesterol formation, be it triglycerides. So it has produced enough of all this, and then not able to handle anymore, puts it onto the hemoglobin, and then you create the diabetic condition. Once the blood is loaded with sugar, then you have functions going haywire. the kidney not functioning properly, the joints not doing their job properly, the microangina not able to carry the blood in the same fashion as it used to be when the blood is free of glucose. So all the systems are now started bearing the load of this high glucose content and started functions going haywire. And this is the problem we have. So how do we control this? Rather, how do we eliminate this, not control? So they have come up with a lot of so-called tablets and then trying to regulate insulin, which controls the glucose. So the insulin production mechanism is completely thrown out of gear. So you start taking care of that by outside injections. See, all these things have come up because we are not able to control or regulate the flow of glucose into the blood in the proper fashion. And where does that control come from? The fiber content that should be in your food has been completely eliminated in the modern day food materials. And that wonderful fiber and the carbohydrate complete structure in this wonderful grains that we were consuming earlier, the human race was consuming earlier, has not been talked about by any scientist clearly. In fact, the reason why I started searching was when I was a kid, I used to visit my grandmother's place where they were eating foxtail millet all the time. So those 10-15 days that I was with my grandmother, I had my system wonderful. Even now I remember the distinct difference. When I was in my town, Produtturu, I was eating this white rice and all this nonsense. I was not able to shit properly. I used to shit, but then once in 2 days or things like that. So the moment I go to my grandmother's house for vacation when there is a school holidays, I used to feel so good, so energetic, so wonderful. And then on the contrary, I used to go to my grandfather's house, my father's village near Jamal Madagu. They used to eat kodo millet. And I used to feel much better. But I come back, then I started. So I had an inkling of this wonderful healing effects of these grains. So when I went to America, when I saw all this blah, 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 I talked all till now, I said we have to start looking for food that can heal us. Then I started doing so-called research and then figured this out, and then when I put the table, can we have the table of the, yeah. And the brown top, the table, all the nutritional values is worked out by me, first time in the world, because that grain has been completely eliminated. It's not there even in the so-called millet research. They don't even know. In fact, many of the scientists think that it is nothing but foxtail millet. It is so completely different. Brown top millet. You can see the ratio of carbohydrate and fiber content. These 5 grains has single digit. And all the others are very high, the ratio of fiber to the carbohydrate, this side. Yeah. The 5.5, 6.6, 7.2, 6.57. And rice, you see, the fiber content is 0.2 and the carbohydrate is 79. You have 395. So if you have this ratio of carbohydrate and fiber, single digit, you have, yeah. This line, you concentrate, and you see the pearl millet, finger millet, proso millet, great millet, corn. They are also having high value, but the fiber and carbohydrate, the way they are arranged in the grain is absolutely in layers. Whereas rice and wheat, where am I? Yeah. Anyway, people have got that. It's not working. The upper layers, it is finished. Whatever little 0.2 grams you have. And many people think that they have been eating rice. I have eaten brown rice, I eat red rice, I have lot of fiber in it. Whatever, all that put together is only 0.2 grams. So whether you eat rice, unpolished or polished, you are going to flood your blood with sugar, no matter what. So once you are diabetic, once you are cancerous, once you are BP patient, these grains cannot rescue you. That means they are not able to control the release of glucose into your blood. Whereas these 5 grains, because of their structural arrangement, the layers after layers, the carbohydrate and the content, and many people think these are high fiber foods. They are not high fiber, they are right fiber. Because we have been eating all along in the last 40-50 years low fiber or almost no fiber food. And especially the wheat, these north fellows, you are all been cheated more seriously. Because whatever little 1.2 grams is completely bleached by many chemicals. One among them is alloxan, which actually can directly kill your pancreatic beta cells so that you have no insulin production at all whatsoever. So eating wheat is much more dangerous than eating rice. Of course, both are dangerous. It's like same side. One is worse than the other. And on top of it, wheat has got something called gluten, which is a protein which can actually kill your celiac area, create havoc. But all these things are not being highlighted by the industrial food cultural scientists. These guys are just to give a passing reference. But you are sick because you are eating what you are eating. That's it. But then all are shocked. Oh, what do I do if I don't eat rice, if I don't eat wheat? And it's been a big problem for me to convince people that you have not been eating rice and wheat before. Oh, my grandmother used to eat. I mean, it's all just 80 years. In the long term of human race, thousands of years, 8 years is a small dot. So many people ask me, oh, we have been used to this rice, can I change to millets? And these are called small millets, minor millets, the top ones. They are very small in size. Yes, the human race has been eating these grains all over the world. Just go back and dig into the history of food of people all around the world. All around the world, not just in India. Luckily in India, we have all these grains. Even today, the seeds are left over. In fact, the Corralu, what we call foxtail millet, is also called Italian millet. Andu Corralu in Telugu, they are called brown top millet because the grain looks like a top with a brown top on that embryo side is covered with brown color. But when you actually open the husk, you see light greenish grain in brown top millet. Barnyard millet is actually called German millet or Japanese millet. Kodo millet is called Himalayan millet. This China, Tibet, all this Russia, all where this Himalayan belt is there, they have been using this Kodo millet. And then brown top actually is called American millet. All these Red Indians and before they were using this wonderful millet. So the so-called Christ, the unleavened bread that he ate for the Last Supper is apparently made by foxtail millet and brown top millet, I believe. And yeah, like this, historically all these grains are, and you find in the pyramids, those grains that are found are actually circular and small in nature, not your wheat and rice. I mean, nowhere it is there. And we have in Karnataka wonderful temple arts. Even if you go today, you can see the ladies' wonderful sculptures holding the pinnacles of these grains, not your oblong rice or wheat. All this rice and wheat. Oh, you can ask me, oh, don't you think there was no rice and there was no wheat before? Yes, there was. Raisa sativa was there, but it was in just like sugar cane, wherever there is lot of water, and these are C3 foods. So wherever there is water, only there you can see this rice and wheat. And especially wheat can only grow in very cold conditions. So we cannot grow wheat in South India. Nowhere we can grow, very difficult. So the conditions in which they grow, we have been creating and pumping lot of water, building dams and then doing all this hangama. To grow 1 kilo rice, you need 9,000 liters of water. To grow 1 kilo wheat, you need 10,000 liters of water. Of course, the agriculture scientists do not agree with me. They say it's only 4,500 liters. They do not calculate the amount of water evaporating to reach these fields. Even if it is 4,500 liters of water, to grow 1 kilo rice, you need that much water. And to grow these grains, 5 grains, you need only 200 to 300 liters of water per kilo. That means, if you now give me the water to grow, to feed Bihar, that much water if you give me, I can grow these 5 grains to feed whole India and China. You see the environmental impact that we are creating by choosing rice and wheat. And if the world chooses to eat siridhanya as their main staple food, how much environmentally sound we are, how much ecologically we are scientific. So the so-called scientific world has been misleading the human race in the name of science, leading us into this economic model, not into the ecological model. So the human race should have chosen to live in ecological model long ago, and because we didn't do that in the last 40, 50 years, we are facing the wrath of the nature. So we chose to drink coffee and tea, we chose to eat sugar cane products, we chose to have dairy products, we chose to have, we don't need this. We should not have touched these things. We should not have had any cows producing milk. You see, cow produces milk. For whom? For its calf, not for your baby. So the hormones, the growth factors, the regulators are required for the baby to grow in 6 months this big. But your baby doesn't grow in 6 months this big. But then you are happily pouring that milk into your baby's mouth, and don't you create imbalance? No one asked this question. Oh, milk, complete food, is what is taught in our science books. For whom, if I ask the question? No one has an answer. So we have been killing, pumping steroids into these animals and then thinking that we are, and as if that is not enough, you need protein, you need protein, you need protein. Because they are producing soybean in large quantities to produce meat. They want us to eat that too. But in fact, you don't need protein. You only need 6% of protein, which, you go back to yeah. You see, you take any of the grains, you have 6% to 12% of protein. You see the column here? All the grains. So you don't need extra protein. And the so-called extra protein of the meat that the people are being fed is also coming from this. The original protein is made in the plants, the dicotyledons. If you go to horse gram, green gram, chana, beans, all those guys, these dicotyledons have 20% of protein, which we do not need actually. That means please do not eat even this grams, that is beet, green gram, Bengal gram, all chana, all this, don't eat on a regular basis. Once a week or twice a week you partake, a fistful of it is good enough for your protein purposes. Because you have enough protein and the right protein in these wonderful grains. In fact, maximum you have is in foxtail millet and then brown top millet. So if you consume just these grains, you have enough protein, you have enough fiber, you have enough, in fact, the so-called vitamin complexes, whatever be this, that, all that is wonderfully loaded in these 5 grains compared to any other system. So you don't need anything actually from animal world. Let the animals live their life, they are not born to feed yourself, to feed you. And we, the digestive tract is herbivorous, for heaven's sake. But we have slowly converted ourselves into omnivores, and then it is very difficult for people to say, I am a vegetarian. Oh, vegetarian, you don't get vitamin B12 because it is present only in meat. And this is the so-called scientific arguments people are. And where does B12 come to the meat products? It's because of the microbial world. That means even if you just yawn, if your gut is clean, you will get vitamin B12. As simple as that. So actually all these grains, when they germinate, they have to have vitamin B complex completely, otherwise they cannot germinate. That means these grains harbor a system which can give you vitamin B12. You just have to consume. The way you cook, soak it overnight because there is enough fiber. It all has to be wet before it gets cooked. And cook it and then tie a muslin cloth on the pot and leave it. Whatever microbes that are there, they will slowly be absorbed and then start growing. So each grain can harbor different kinds of microbes. And even if there are no microbes, once you cook and leave the fermentation process, it absorbs the microbes that are required growing on that particular kind of fiber, and you create a microbiome that is going to harbor and totally help your digestive tract. In fact, we are not what we are actually loaded with these symbiotic microbes that are in our gut. And that we have been systematically eliminating in the last 30-40 years in the name of so-called antibiotic treatments. But before the baby is 5-year-old, we have treated these babies 10 times with antibiotic. That means you are just doing the most unscientific thing that you can do for your kid. So without the microbiome, you have no immunity in your body. So you are not what you are if your gut doesn't harbor this wonderful microbial world. So you have not understood a prebiotic food, you have not understood what is probiotic food. So you have eliminated both of them from your so-called modern food systems. Hence you have all these so-called diseases, malaria, typhoid, pneumonia, dengue, chikungunya, H5N1, H1N1, because you have no immunity. So how do you build your immunity? Not by giving vaccines, by making the internal immunity grow, by showing your system, the bone marrow, all the different antigens that are present around you locally. So take different leaves that are there, because it is the leaves, it is the green that has all these combinations of microbial systems. That is the wonderful thing that you need to do. So eat local greens, local fruits. No, I want to eat strawberry ice cream. Where is this strawberry? It's not available in this planet. Somewhere in the north, in Canada or some place you have some, maybe 5 tons or 10 tons in a season. But all over the world, everyone is eating strawberry ice cream. Believe me, you are eating the notion of food. There is no strawberry, it's all chemicals. Same thing, olive oil. Olive oil is good. It's been made up. Olive oil is also good. Our Niger seed oil is also good. Sesame seed oil is also good. Saswe, what do you call, mustard. Mustard seed oil is also good. All oils are good. But then there has been campaign by this industrial food culture. Oh, this oil is not good. Coconut oil, you have cholesterol. Oh, groundnut oil, you have aflatoxins. Oh, this. They just branded it to be completely unsafe. And then we stopped using our oils and everyone wants to use olive oil, rice bran oil. I don't know where this is coming from. There are only so many olive trees. And if you press 3 kilos of olive, you get 1 liter of oil. But then just Bombay alone is consuming so many liters of oil. So the whole Italy cannot provide you olive oil. So obviously you are getting something called mineral oil, which is byproduct of your diesel industry in the name of refined oils. And that is another important reason why you are falling sick. So you got to have your oils, you got to have your milk. How do I give milk for my baby? Don't give this animal milk. There are a lot of wonderful milks all over the world. If you go to America, you have pine trees. So you just get that pine nuts and make milk. You come to coastal regions, you have wonderful coconuts falling. Even if you don't want, they'll fall on your head. Take the coconuts. 1 coconut can supply 10 kids milk. So there is enough milk, but you have to change the right thing. Coconut milk, groundnut milk, sesame seed milk, all these milks are 1,000 times better in every quality that you are looking for your kid. Be it calcium, be it this, be it that, all things are completely there. So you feed your baby 1 week coconut milk, 1 week groundnut milk, 1 week sesame seed, because we in our country have all these wonderful diversified materials which completely got eliminated because of this industrial food culture. And this is the problem. We are all made to believe that this is the food. And as I told you in my initial opening statements, it's in quotes. Whatever you are eating is not at all food. Milk is not food, rice is not food, wheat is not food, egg is not food, meat is not at all your food. So we have been misled. High time we figured out these things. So what is the result of figuring this out and going back to the natural foods? Immediately you can see that I have been successful in eliminating these so-called diseases like cancer, BP, gangrene, diabetes, liver issues, kidney issues, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, SLE. In fact, recently I had a case of myasthenia gravis. I mean, people don't even know what it means. I also didn't know. Till the patient came and said, I started worrying about it. What it is basically is the relationship between the nerves and the tendons and ligaments, the connection, the signals transferring, that is going kaput. So people who get hit with this so-called disease slowly lose control over their nerves and muscles. So people slowly start losing their sense of strength. They cannot speak. Slowly their speech becomes slurred, and then slowly the tongue doesn't even move, so they cannot even swallow sometimes. So most of them are fed through tubes, and they want to lift, they cannot lift their hands, their fingers. A Muslim girl hit with this disease 7 years ago, heard my YouTube lectures and started practicing this food and the oils and the Ghana oils and the milk completely. They are Muslims, by the way, it so happens. So in some of my lectures I tell them, if you are a meat eater, please throw away the vessels that you have cooked your food. Don't cook these millets in that vessels, and it may not help you. In fact, it has been clearly figured out by us that if you use the same vessels that you have cooked meat and then use this, it is not going to work for you, because something that is left over, the viruses or something that is getting transferred, and then your body picks those things up, because you are already sick and it is happy to pick these unwanted things. So you change the vessels, and if you cook in your mud pots, it is the best way to cook your food. Go. But for convenience, we shifted to pressure cookers and all so-called technologies, non-stick plates, non-stick tawas, and you are making your chapatis, dosas, so you are eating plastic regularly. And nowadays, idlis are also made on plastic, in 5-star hotels also. As if that is not enough, we are using diapers. The kids, poor kids, they cannot push susu easily by themselves. They are all stucking up. So it's not enough the plastic going through your mouth. It is going through the vagina and the anus also. And in fact, it is figured out. Some fellows, I don't know how they figure out, they said it 13% of cervical cancer, the diapers are the causes. So many women are using diapers left and right. They are advertising all ha, hoo, ha on the things. So please take care. You use a cotton piece before you use your diapers, because you are all used to it. Keep that and then wash it or throw it away. Dry it in the sun. Luckily in our country we have a lot of sun. Of course, this kind of monsoon season, few months or 2 months you don't have. But then you can make it ready. And that is the best way to be healthy. So please don't use diapers for your kids. But the sad story is people are ordering from Amazon, America, all in the Thursday. Well, they are getting them from there because, this. Please avoid all these artificial things going on to the bodies of your babies. The simple cotton, Khadar, muslin cloths are the best. So loose cloths, and if they piss, please wash. If they piss in the house, just call the kids and tell them don't do it here. Within 3 days they will learn. But now it's a big business in America, toilet training at 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. They are still training people not to do this, not to do this. All this is because of business, nothing else. You see how in the name of science, in the name of progress, in the name of development, we have inculcated all this. And of course, there is one big thing as called aping the Western world. We have been aping everything, the so-called science, so-called institutes, everything. And we have lost the power to question. We cannot question anything. So we figured these things out and then started searching for the alternative food materials that were present before. Of course, now they are all gone. In fact, if I were not to come back 25 years ago and then bring these seeds and then started growing, actually I had fistful of brown top millet. It took me more than 4 sessions, 4 rounds to get enough material to give to the farmers. All these things we have done in the small field that I have started in 2010 or so, 2009. We conduct jungle krushi, farming lessons, 1 full day session. Of course, split into 2 days, from afternoon to the next day afternoon. and we started feeding and we started having wonderful results. This myasthenia gravis is the recent so-called horrific disease that women, is now 36 or something, and I don't remember actually because I didn't take the case. She just dropped in. 28 people came to my house, all the family members. They just wanted to say that she's been all right. She came walking up the first, I have my clinic in the first floor, and then she started talking and she showed me her video clippings, not able to move her tongue and all that. And the doctor said, no, nothing can be done, you have to take the steroids, and they went on increasing and all that didn't happen, and then they all resigned to that moment. I think 1 year, 8 months back or so. It took 20 months. Now she's again working. So for me, it is a simple, because I have been now seeing so many patients. The last 15 years, I have been practicing homeopathy medication I give to people. So each day, minimum of 50 to 100, in that range, I see patients for the last 15 years. I have been treating, and it's been one way blessing, one way it's very painful, because I see horrible pain. Mothers not able to control their kids. It's so painful. I mean, this differently abled kids, buddhimandya we call, it just kills the whole families. It's incredible pain. And I see every day minimum of 5 to 10 kids like this. And it's all due to the incompetence of our system. If only these parents, when they were bearing the kids, they had the right food, this will not happen. So we have cured. Many kids have come to from attention deficit to completely attentive. They have learned. In fact, some cases, kids have got 70% marks in the so-called 10th class exam. In fact, one of the kids got first rank in the school. So hundreds of kids are doing well. And this a simple thing is to reverse. We have used this Ghana oils, bull-driven Ghana oils called Niger seed oil. In our language, we call it huchellu. Kannadadalli huchellu antare. Telugulo veri nuvulu antaru. I don't know what they call in Hindi. Niger seeds, it is called in fact, I have not concentrated on Hindi language. I have to start doing that because only recently, due to Surya's insistence, I have come. I think this is the second time I have come to Mumbai. So I hope in next coming months I will educate myself in Hindi, and so that I can utter those words of these wonderful materials. So we give these oils every day in the morning for 5 to 6 months in alternate weeks. Coconut oil, Niger seed oil, groundnut oil, safflower oil. But all these oils, beware, should be extracted through bull-driven wood Ghana oils. They are the real oils. And if you put these oils in plastic, even for 3 hours, you are contaminating them with plastic nanoparticles, 100% guaranteed. So you can do all that you want. Please do not touch plastic for any of the food materials. But sadly nowadays we are using for pickles, for why food materials? Even the medicines are packed in tons and tons in these plastic containers. Including Ayurveda medicines are packaged, and online they are selling this. That's not the way you conduct yourself being an Ayurveda doctor. You have to make the medicines yourself and then hand over personally to the patient or who attends the patients. And in fact, it is done in the form of leaves or in porcelain small cups, they are the real delivery tools for oils. To make pickles, just 50 years back, what were we doing? We were putting it in that jars, porcelain jars. But now you have all plastic bottles. Why plastic? Plastic sachets. We are all packing pickles daily and then throwing it into the public. See, consciously we have to make these choices. Of course, it is very tough now because we are so far into this artificial world. When I come and stand in front of you and say, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Pora vichado antaru. You're a mad fellow, get lost. But then sadly, you have no choice. You have to get back to the natural food systems. And you got to use your creativity and energies and money, whatever you call, to procure. We got to do that. And decentralize the food production. That means Mumbai should produce your food, your materials here, not get from all over the world because you can afford to. Because you can throw away the money and then you think you get, but then you are getting sickness into your system. So you order food in Zomato, Swiggy, Buggy, so many things, and you don't know what they are getting, but then you are very happy. Oh, I come by the time you... In fact, I saw one funny thing in Bangalore. People are eating on the road, so they are calling, I am in this so-and-so junction, GPS, come and meet me, and they are exactly timing and then getting their food packets delivered on the junctions. I am going to stand in that junction for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So, this is how technology is used. I mean, it's so sad. And you are eating on the run. I mean, you don't know what you are eating, just biting and going. Please eat consciously. Prajna is very important. So, make time, cook your food, enjoy the food, and this is what gives you health. So, don't be completely taken away by this modern way of living. At least when you eat food, relax, respect the food, thank God for giving the time, and you have to make time. See, you are not making time. You are not cooking properly. You see, people, when I told them you have to soak overnight, who has time? But you don't do anything. You just put it in the water in the night and then get ready to cook. You don't need to sit and see whether it is getting soaked. It will soak itself. So there is nothing extra work. You just have to plan few minutes. So you want to eat in the night, you soak in the morning. No. As I told you, you are all busy running around and then calling on the moment, and then the food has to come and fall into your mouth. In fact, my wife comments now and then, see, Khadar, you give the people banana, they want you to peel it and then put it in their mouth. I mean, we have become like that. So the science is gone out of the window long back. But then we are all claiming we are very scientific. Maybe very scientific in your smartphones and all this physical world, but the biological world we are completely screwed up. And I can go on talking about my so-called cures. Cancer people have got cured. Hundreds. The diabetic patients now, almost in lakhs, all over the world, people report to me that their HbA1c is gone. So I find myself in a very peculiar position. I don't know whether to be happy or unhappy. Because people want to see me, I am not able to give appointments. Now my appointments are filled for months together. And that's why I decided 360 days, 36,000. 10 years, 3.6 lakhs. 20 years, 7.2 lakhs. Peanuts. Nothing. Because Bangalore alone has got 40 lakhs of diabetic patients. 15 lakhs of thyroid patients. When do I cure all these fellows? We can cure. Now I am happy that there is a method. Cure, completely cure, because now lot of people have been there for 10 years having no trouble at all. In fact, there are many families, many kids who have not seen doctors at all in the last 10 years. Isn't that our goal? That we have no hospitals in our place. You may need 1 or 2 for emergency services. And that should be our dream. If we were to be scientific enough, we should create a society where there are no hospitals. That means we know how to be healthy. And we have not been defining this as our goal. Instead, what are we doing? We are defining progress as having multi-speciality hospitals. Each street should have a multi-speciality hospital. Then the place is equipped. Moolabhuta saukaryagalu. If you don't have, actually one funny examples I give you. 6 months back, one of my friends who is in America called me. Said he wanted to get back to India. Because I have come back 20 years ago. Say, Mysore is a nice place. Can you buy a house for me before I come? He said, yes, I will buy. How much range? Oh, no problem, 2 crores worth, it doesn't matter. But, he said, what? I said, what? You see that there is a hospital nearby. Because he is taking thyroid tablet, he is taking BP tablet, he has got diabetes, and he has got nervous disorder because once he gets up, he gets vertigo. He lived there in America for almost 30, 40 years. So, this is the condition. In fact, in my regular talks in my regional languages, we keep mocking at this kind of state of affairs. That you should be able to walk 2 kilometers and then urinate and come back. But we have forgotten walking. Because we have commodes right near our beds. And we call it is advanced. Can you believe we have shitting place in the bedroom? We go and shit every day near the bedroom. And then we flush and we think we're okay. See, this is... I can't believe that we have a toilet in the bedroom. I keep repeating this 2, 3 times. Then you understand what I mean. But till now, you are, where else the bathroom should be? Where else the bathroom should be, if not in the bedroom? That's what you people are all used to. But for me, it looks awkward to have a toilet in the bedroom. I'll repeat once more. It looks awkward for me to have a toilet in the bedroom. So if I tell 3, 4 times, then only you understand what I mean. So we have reached this state. I mean, we have accepted all these things as common and normal. See how bad it is. That means it has crossed our perception levels also. We have become so dumb. I don't want to use these words, but because it may not and it should not offend people. But we are dumb. Am I right? We have become dumb. We should have not been like this. And so now we expect our kids to be all right? We cannot expect them to be different. So what are we passing on to our kids? The right methods, the right food, right way of cooking? No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. All these things are happening in the name of science and modern living. For me, everything is okay, but as far as food is concerned, I think we should stay with nature. Cook the way it should be cooked, harvest the way it should be harvested. No, we don't have a human being harvesting. Everything is done by machinery. In fact, I can give you an extreme example of so-called that fried chips, French fries, and the food, the potatoes are grown this long, a particular variety, and then they fumigate. You cannot even go to that room for more than 8 days. If you go, you will fall right there dead. And that is the French fries that you are all eating. So like this industrial food culture has spoiled our systems both mentally, physically and emotionally. Everything is gone out of the window and we have to get back. And we can get back only through the natural methods and natural foods. The lost immunity. In fact, we have 7 green leaves that if you use, kashaya we call, kada bolte hai Hindi mein, kada, yeah. We have 2 different sets of kashayas, 7 sapta kashayas. If you just partake each week 1 green leaf kashaya, after 7 weeks you have immunity, instant immunity for a year or 2. And then if you start eating sirdhanya on a regular basis for more than a year, you are guaranteed not to have all this dengue, H1N1, chikungunya, all these diseases will not even touch you. You can go and sit in a chikungunya infested area, nothing will happen to you. All these experiments we have done. Now, there are so many kids who follow these simple procedures, never visiting doctors at all. And that should be the goal of a doctor. A doctor is one who eliminates his job in the lives of the people. And that should be the goal of a real doctor. So I always look at my patient and say, this patient should not need any more doctor, including me. That means I should be able to impart the knowledge for him or her to live healthily. And that should be the role of doctor, and we have failed to define it that way so long, till now. So this is the objective way of doing things, and it can be done locally and individually. But the principles should be universal. And that universal principles are simple: follow the local, seasonal fruits and vegetables, and it happens these 5 grains are both local and universal. That means these 5 grains can be grown all over the world. And as I told you, ecologically they are the easiest, and even if the coming days going to present ourselves with 40 degrees, 50 degrees on the planet, these grains will not cheat you. You can grow them even at 45 degrees centigrade, these 5 grains. And in fact, their yields increase at 40 to 42 degrees centigrade. Now we have around 38, 39. So even if the temperature increases, if they just have 5 wettings, they grow. They grow and give you good yields. And we have all the land at our disposal because we don't need water. Just 4 rains you can grow. So 80% of all the land that is free can be used for food. So I can be giving food for the whole, not 1 planet, even 8 planets. 8 planets. That means 80 billion people can be fed without hitch, if only we choose our staple food to be siridhanya. Then we will save all the water that actually belongs to the animals of the forest. So we can save forests. So now there is lot of hangama going, grow trees, grow trees, grow trees. Growing trees is only one step. But the real problem is you continue to eat same rice, same eggs, same thing. We had more trees just 50 years ago. Millions and zillions of trees we had. We have cut them in the name of making our food and nothing else. Even if you grow trees, what needs to be done first is stop drinking coffee, stop drinking tea, stop taking sugar, stop eating eggs, stop eating meat. Only then your growing trees has any meaning. So you just don't say grow trees, grow trees, grow trees. Please grow trees, but then individually, if every one of us stop eating this industrial food culture products, we will really save the planet. If that is not done, nothing is going to be achieved in the future. So this is a simple thing, and people are yet to come to this conclusion, simple conclusion. And there are a lot of meetings, Tokyo meeting, France meeting, whatever, so many meetings. All these big wigs, so-called experts are meeting. But the solution is very simple, because it's all in your hands. Don't wait for all these big wigs to take decisions for you. All these intellectuals, big shots, environmentalists, this, that, all that. But they are not talking in terms of food. They are talking all different things. All the different things cannot be done by us, each individuals. What each individual can do to stop global warming. So now and then I say, I have stopped drinking coffee. I am fighting global warming. I have stopped using sugar. I am fighting global warming twice. I have stopped eating eggs. I am fighting global warming thrice. I have stopped eating meat. I have started fighting global warming 50 times. And that is the equation that we all need to realize. So let these so-called bigwigs do what they are doing. I am sure they do not do anything. But we, as an individual, on this planet, everyone can contribute to the well-being of the planet and the living things on this planet by just choosing what to eat, how to eat, what not to eat. And this is in your hands. And that is the message. You will gain health. It is only a byproduct. So I keep telling many places, I have not come here to help you cure your cancer, your diabetes, your gangrene, your CKD, your ADHD, your lupus, SLE. We have cured hundreds. There is no cure for lupus. It is a very difficult autoimmune disease, worse than HIV. HIV. Hundreds of patients have thrown away all their tablets and not visited the doctor for the last 5 years. No problems at all. So all these myths have been created by this so-called establishment that you cannot be healthy. Once you have this, you are done. Diabetes incurable, cancer incurable, HIV incurable, SLE incurable, gone. It is genetic problem, some Sjögren syndrome, muscular dystrophy. All these peculiar diseases are cropping up because what we are doing to ourselves. And the numbers are increasing because the path that we are trekking is not right. And that much we are not able to figure out. We can reverse all these conditions by choosing to eat the right things. But the bigger picture is, by being with nature, being simple, we can not only save ourselves, save these big, treacherous conditions that we have created. And that kind of world where we care for other living things is the most important decision that you make. So please don't make decisions because you want to be healthy. Just you being healthy alone is useless. See, imagine I am very healthy, but then I have people around, all are sick. You cannot even smile for a joke that I cut. Then what is the use? So a person alone cannot be healthy. So the same way, we just cannot live alone on this planet. We need all the animal, all the fauna, all the flora to be happy, to be emotionally linked with this wonderful biome that we live in. So we have been spoiling both our internal health and the health of the environment. And all are linked to the way we eat and what we eat. And this is the only and only reason. Please do not be misled by these so-called experts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your
Everyone
enriching
can
words.
ask any number of questions. I'm going to stay here, and we all will have any kind of questions. And I hope, if I do not know, we will find the answers together in future.
Can I request volunteers to pass on the mic?
Switch on the mic.
Very good and informative lecture. Modern medicine claims they increase the expectancy, life expectancy. How do you explain that? Modern medicines.
It's again a myth. You think that you have got a life expectancy more here. There have been incidents where people have lived hundreds of years in olden days also. So these are all statements just to blurt out. See, the olden days people used to die with various other reasons. And expectancy of life, higher life term is not the indication of good life. It is not how long you live, it is how well you live. And believe me, people are not going to live longer anymore, the way we are doing. So this expectancy of life, living longer, is all just statistical blubbering, nothing else. I can show you 108-year-old. My grandmother lived, she didn't go to doctor even once, and then she used to walk 28 kilometers on a regular basis. So what do you say about that? There have been millions or zillions of such life forms on this planet in the olden days. Even now, come and look at tribals who have not been infected by this modern day food materials. They are living very happily. In fact, I just met in BR Hills. He doesn't know his age. I don't know, maybe he may be 98 or 99 years. No one can walk with him. He just starts and he's there, zoom, in the forest. We tried to go and live with them for 2-3 days. It's so tough to catch up with him. And he's been there because he's been there. And it's so, you don't take all these things into consideration when you throw out such sentences.
But before we didn't used to have these glass bottles and everything. तो पीतल, तांबा इन सब में use करने का क्या?
Yeah, glass is the best medium to transport your food materials. So what is your question? I didn't get.
It is very environmentally harmful, more than what plastic is. So
Glass is more harmful?
yes, because it doesn't decompose.
Absolutely sorry, sir. It's a wrong statement. Glass is actually made out of silica. So it certainly goes into the soil very easily. Absolutely no problem at all with glass or porcelain. Of course, now the paintings that you are doing are dangerous chemicals that are going to be persistent. So pure glass, pure porcelain, the best materials, absolutely the best materials to conduct yourself with. Absolutely no. Plastic is absolute no-no, absolute no-no, no, not at all. Glass is one of the most beautiful materials. Of course, it took long time for the human race to develop glass. So before that we had mud parts. After that we have porcelain. And then the finer preparations of the same thing is glass. But to make glass you need a lot of energy. I mean, you need to heat and all that.
So two questions are, which came as a written.
Yeah.
Why not coffee and tea? We covered this, but kindly please elaborate.
Okay. I thought I don't need to, but coffee has caffeine. Tea has more caffeine. Caffeine is an alkaloid which destabilizes your nerves. To start with, it excites your nerves and pumps in some energy, so you feel refreshed. But then the secondary and tertiary reactions are, one, they become energyless, and third, the tertiary reaction, over a longer period of time, you become addicted. Alkaloids, a group of chemical which makes you addicted. Marijuana, so many compounds are there. And the chocolate has got something called theobromine, where a mild alkaloid you get addicted to. So addiction is something that makes you keep wanting that again and again and again. So that's why once you take coffee for 5-6 days, 7th day you want coffee on that particular time. I mean, you are just addicted. And actually it is difficult to de-addict you. The same thing with gutka and tambaku, nicotine. All these belong to the same group of chemicals that just takes you over. So you becoming, in fact, if you stop coffee and tea, 90% of this prostate and urinary problems can be solved. I mean, people are getting up every 2 hours to urinate, though it's a wrong signal. I mean, all these things are due to coffee and tea. And your nervous disabilities, people start shaking their hands. Of course, the exalted version is Parkinson's. And then the exalted version of the nervous disabilities, you become totally unconscious about yourself, and that's Alzheimer's. You don't know who you are. Oh, have I married you? When did I marry you? I mean, that kind of conditions we are getting into. So it is caffeine and nicotine are the real reasons for these conditions that the human race is exposed to. And of course, coffee and tea are the only two materials that are responsible for our rivers to die, because we have dismantled all the forests in the hill areas to grow coffee and tea all over the world, either be it Brazil or Western Ghats or Himalayan terrace. It's all tea estates. No real forests are existing, isn't it? So, two reasons why you should not have coffee and tea. One, to save our rivers. So, if you want to save rivers, really, Ganga, Kaveri, Narmada, all this, you please stop drinking coffee and tea. The rivers will be coming back. Because if you stop drinking tea, only then the real forests grow. So if you stop drinking caffeine, your nervous system will be better. And in fact, lot of people are not able to sleep because you are drinking coffee and tea. You do not know that. You do not know that. So 3 weeks, and to de-addict yourself, we have 3 wonderful leaves: Pongemia, Tinospora. You understand, but in your Hindi, I think we need to bring out a translated version. We will soon, okay? Pongemia ponnata leaves. You make kashayam and drink for 2 to 3 weeks. You will start not wanting to drink coffee. Tinospora, it's a white that leaves. Kashayam you drink, you will not want to have this coffee or tea soon. In fact, we have de-addicted people who take liquor, who take the drugs. In fact, people who have this injection drugs, morphine, this codeine, all these guys, many cases have been.
So we'll come one after another. We'll cover the questions, please.
Let him. Yeah, please.
Can you give the mic to him?
Yes, sir.
That is very much alternate to tea or coffee, which is, I mean, all over world people are there. Can you suggest something which is?
No, I will not suggest all over the world. People have to find locally what are responsible there. So, it's not right for me to suggest.
Like a herbal tea.
Logically, it is wrong, because
Where
I want to dislodge this centralized system. So now in America, if they want, they should figure out, there is a tree called live oak, which is very much like our Pongemia pinnata, which is very similar. It will de-addict you there. It's called quercus in America. So if I am in Australia, I will figure out some other plant. You understand?
Agreed, but
that is the way you figure out. It's not that I want to provide again all over the world something. The locally people have to figure out what is suitable for them. And if I do, I am doing again same mistake. So coffee and tea didn't exist the way we are creating them. You understand the point? The point is you need to be local. You need to be local. So Americans actually have got lot of pine trees. Canadians have got, what is that? Maple. In fact, maple leaves are very good kashayams for those conditions. So it is that local varieties that you need to depend on, so that there is no transportation, there is all this humbug is gone. This is an economic model. The question you are asking is in the economic model. Oh, everyone should be provided. No, it's a wrong thing to do. I don't want to provide everyone the same thing. It should be different from different places. So in south, in north, it is different. You have meswak in north. We have neem in the south. You see, I don't want even in India the same thing to go around. You don't have neem. We have neem, you have meswak. You can clean your teeth with meswak in north and neem with in the south. And that is the way I want you to figure out things.
Would you recommend the herbal teas? I mean, I'm just asking.
Tea, green tea, bra tea, herbal tea, all teas are teas. Everything has caffeine. Please do not fall for the trick. There's nothing like herbal means real herbs. Once you had tea, it is tea. No tea. Please do not drink tea and coffee.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
We will complete the questions that we are getting in the writing first. Then we'll go by row and facilitate. Generally, this is the most trickiest part of the session. Sir, quickly, if no cow's milk is to be consumed, is ghee recommended?
Yeah, this is a tangential question. See, in the olden days, we had the bulls and oxen used for agriculture and extracting the oils, and so no one actually used to consume milk. They used to leave the calf, and the calves used to suckle their milk, and then the remaining, the udder, whatever little used to simply flow by itself. So that used to be taken, and then they used to make curds. In fact, if you just leave it, within 3 hours it curdles itself, actually, milk. I mean, that is the nature of milk. It is not the same after 2 hours. That's why you get curds. So the olden days, when they were using the bulls and oxen for other purposes, they used to have cows, and the cow used to give milk because the babies have to grow. So the little remaining milk, they used to make curds. And then, because they have made curds, they used to add lot of water and churn and used to make buttermilk. You call chas. So even now you go to northern some hotels, you see the written, they don't write dal, roti, chas, they write. They don't write doodh. Because there was no doodh in the usage. It is the chas. So buttermilk, curds, it is fermented. Once you ferment, the lactobacillus removes all these steroids, all the proteins, everything is gone. It is reaching a stage where lactobacillus terminal products is actually lactic acid. You see that sour taste is due to the lactic acid, because this lactobacillus brings everything into lactic acid form and leaves. So some of the broken proteins and things are there in the curds, which are completely okay for consumption, because that's what happens in our gut also. Funnily, lactobacillus is the 60% microbial world that is present in our stomachs. God's creation is that even if you go to the Eskimos, their guts are also filled with lactobacillus. Because the moment you drink mother's milk, the gut gets the lactobacillus bacteria. And that's what creates your vitamin B12, all this stuff. So if you have lactobacillus, you will have vitamin B12. You don't need to eat meat or even the meat actually doesn't give you. If vitamin B12 is provided by meat, then why are people having vitamin B12 deficiency? The whole world is eating meat like mad. In fact, recently, this Ramjan, Ramjan festival, people are supposed to eat less. In fact, they are supposed to fast. So the consumption of food should go down in that month. But then we just got the recent statistics, especially Bombay, Bangalore and Hyderabad, these three cities. In fact, the meat consumption is 3.5 times more in this particular month. In the name of Muslims, all people are eating in the night. Daytime bitbuto, night they are eating. Because that particular month, they make different kinds of meat items. They have all these things. So it is the whole cities indulge. And still, you have vitamin B12 deficiency. What does that mean? They want to sell their vitamin B12 tablets or injection, nothing else. Very simple. So your question is very simple, sir. Consume milk is no. Consume buttermilk is okay. It's not that you must and should, because anyway, even if you drink sesame seed milk, you will get curds in your tummy. It will be converted to because of lactobacillus. So we have a natural system which converts that. So milk is no, buttermilk is okay, curds is okay, and so ghee and butter are okay. If you are making it in your house, don't buy ghee in your plastic bottles and think Dr. Khadar said ghee is okay. Don't eat that. If you make butter in your house, make ghee in your house with your hands, please consume, no problem. Feed your babies, no problem.
So next question, psychosomatic disease.
Yes. Basically, koda millet, the fiber content cleans the blood and the bone marrow. So we have actually mentally retarded, mentally disturbed cases, people who are schizophrenic. All these cases have been helped tremendously by consuming koda millet 3 days and then the remaining millet each. And then the kadas, banana leaf or banana itself as kashaya, turmeric powder or turmeric stem, small piece making kashayam. And then there is a plant called Ruta graveolens and cinnamon. These 4 kashayams bring back the imbalance that is created in the mind. The emotional imbalance is brought back consuming these millets. And what it does is cleans the bone marrow. So that means the synthesis of blood, every 3 months we rejuvenate, rather reproduce the new blood cells. So the materials that we make this blood, the content of the blood materials is rejuvenated and you are gaining the balance. We have seen hundreds of cases recover and we have de-addicted them from these tablets in a matter of 6 months to 1 year.
Sir, next one, can we control or cure myeloma?
Yeah, blood-related problems, different kinds of myelomas, acute, this, that, all we have tabled in the, can we go back to the table? We have got 15 to 17 kinds of cancers, blood cancer, bone cancer, uterus cancer, ovarian cancer, intestinal cancer, brain cancer, bone cancer, like this we have listed. Just zoom in. Yeah, 14 types. In fact, each table sometimes contains more number of cancers, like kidney and prostate, blood, thyroid and pancreas, uterus and ovarian and cervical, liver and actually spleen, esophagus, like that. So, bone cancer, blood cancer, wonderful results, hundreds of patients who were requiring to inject blood every week have stopped now. It's been 4 or 5 years. Many people are completely healthy and hale, no problems. And the kashayams and the siridhanya that you need to consume, the orders, these are all just practically proven. We have developed giving to patients, and then they come back and report and they are getting better and better. So we have tabulated after watching many patients, hundreds of patients, accumulated results, we have made it into a table over a period of the past 15 years.
All right.
All that is available on Siri Jeevan.
Yes, sir. We'll have a website demo and we'll cover this. Sir, next one, sir, we'll cover the questions from here.
Yeah.
Sir, metastasis, breast cancer, can be cured?
Most of the cancers, 99.9% of the cancers after chemotherapy, radiotherapy, be it brain to lungs, lungs to bone, bone to ovarian, whatever it is, every cancer is going to get into metastasis condition. Metastasis means they don't know how it jumps from one organ to another organ. All that have been dealt with. In fact, there is no single case of cancer treated by chemo and radiotherapy not going to the other place. So most often all the cases, many cases come only after this metastasis. So they had breast cancer, they removed the breast cancer, had chemotherapy, radiotherapy, then they find themselves having bone cancer or lung cancer. Sometimes it spreads into many organs. They have a so-called PET scan. When they see PET scan, you see everywhere. Most often it goes into lymph systems. So lymph system is very dangerous. I mean, it's difficult to handle it. So we have handled even such cases. Lot of them are doing very much better, absolutely no problems, and they have got de-addicted from these tablets that they have been taking over a period of 6 months to 1 year. And one question, whether you ask or not, I want to answer is, how do we de-addict with these tablets, either a BP tablet or diabetes tablets or cancer tablets, whatever medicines that we are used to, how do you remove it? So over a period of 6 weeks review, you can slowly reduce your tablets. Don't stop the medicines suddenly because your body is used to it. So even if they are damaging you, you need to de-addict yourself slowly and steadily. Over a period of 6 months, you can get rid of all the medicines from your body. And then eating siridhanya and taking kashayams over next 6 months will clean up your body, because over a period of 6 months to 2 years, almost everything gets rebuilt in your body. I mean, all the cells regenerate. That is, be it bone, be it blood, be it skin. You are getting new every 3 months, you know. So you are not the same, but you are the same. That is the beauty of these biological systems. So we are not the same. Skin cell is not what it was 3 months ago. It's different. It's new. So when you are providing the new wonderful material in the form of food, you are actually reborn with rejuvenated materials, and that's how you become healthier. So when eating this and drinking kadas, you are becoming healthier and healthier and healthier. As the time goes by, your health index increases. And not only health, you become mentally very stable, emotionally very pakka, solid. Yeah, does asthma get covered in this? Yes, foxtail millet is the grain that heals TB, lung cancer, anything connected with the lungs, that is asthma or even the so-called cough and cold and pneumonia and all these kind of things. Foxtail millet 3 days and the remaining millets each 1 day. You need all the 5 millets going into your body on a weekly basis, because we need to keep cleaning all the organs on a weekly basis at least. So, but then you have problem with lungs, go to foxtail millet, and there are particular Khadars recommended in the lungs protocol section. Absolutely no problem. In fact, many kids who are using this puffs, the so-called steroid, corticosteroids they use as puff, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, I don't know how many, have just thrown away those, and many of them get trouble into these monsoon sessions, and then when they go into dust, and then once it starts, then they take lot of, in fact, some kids take months together to get out of these attacks. All those kids are doing very much fine once they started. In fact, you can make milk out of foxtail millet, and give them the milk, you can make sweets and all kinds of wonderful things. All he talked about, all the information is available, absolutely no problem. And they say, many people, the moment I say don't take milk, people are, wow, calcium. And as I explained to you, milk doesn't really provide you calcium, because after milk, people consuming, we have calcium business, supplement business in billions of dollars. What does that indicate? That means milk is not giving you calcium. If that was true, then we should not have had a calcium business at all. But that is also going on in billions of dollars. So these are all the myths that we have been creating. The real calcium supplements come, just you watch all over the world, all the world cultures, sesame seed is the answer. You go to Arabic countries, you go to America, you go to Mexico, you go to Italy, everywhere people have used sesame seeds. And in India, it's absolute wonderful item, and it is spoken in length in our Ayurvedic texts about the good things about sesame seed, but we have completely removed. So sesame seed, once a week, 50 to 100 grams of laddu made of palm jaggery is good enough to give. In fact, I have lot of dramatic cases after using til laddu. A old lady of 80 years age has been on the bed for the last 17 years. After using the til laddu for 6 months, she got up and now she started cooking by herself, and then it's now 3 years. She's in Puttaparthi near Anantapur. She's able to go out by herself and get vegetables. So this kind of wonderful things are, and everyone can do this. And so you don't need to worry about calcium. Just start using once a week, not more, not necessary at all. No, I think the supply that you got is something not right. I mean, I personally think that is the reason. And if you go to these suppliers who are getting you natural things, foxtail millet is the easiest and the, no, not supposed to. What food do you recommend from morning to night? These 5 siridhanyas, you make anything that you want from these 5 grains. The recommendation is you change every 2 days each millet, so that all the 5 grains cover you all the parts of the body. Parkinson's, yeah, hundreds of cases, Parkinson's, people who could not sign, people who cannot drive, people who cannot steps, they're all doing fine. Hundreds and hundreds. Muscular dystrophy, yes, we have actually piled up few cases, and then we are going to release another table for muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, myasthenia gravis, MND, all these rare diseases are also covered. We are coming up with this similar table in another week or 2. Yeah, many of these electrolytes not being stabilized are all going to be stabilized the moment you use little millet and kodo millet. Just for 3 months. Lot of these peculiar diseases are also getting lot of improvement without any problem. So this is not diet. See, diet is a word which is used for a particular condition. We are trying to communicate to people that this is the food for you. So this is not a diet. This is the food material that human race should depend on, and it will, according to me, in future. There is no option for us. Yeah, lot of damaged cells that we have damaged because of our food practices will be regenerated over a period of time, because the materials that we supply when the new cells are being formed is certainly going to help if the material is right. So the millet food is the right food. So over a period of 2 years to 3 years, I am sure you will have the new things in your body. That means even if your bones are weak, your bones will become stronger over a period of 2 or 3 years. And that's why I keep telling in my lectures, 6 months to 2 years is the period that you need to give to get out of all your systems being corrected. So all things will be corrected if you give enough time. And each individual, depending upon their condition, it may take 6 months, or for someone it may take 2 years. Maybe some deeper problems may take some more time. But for sure, you will be certainly helped with the millets as basic staple food for you. Yeah, how to acquire leaves for kashayas? You better grow them. Most of the plants can be actually acquired from the nurseries, basically more sensitive, and because when you pluck a leaf, after a week, it will grow back. 99% of the plants give leaves. The moment you take one leaf, after 3 days, it will grow you 3 more leaves. So that is the way we replenish, and that is the ecological model. We don't damage the ecology, we only just partake what we require.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good evening. I'm Shrikant, I'm from Bangalore. First of all, I have a testimony to share. My wife has been diagnosed with extreme sugar conditions, diabetes. She was, at one point of time, she was showing like over 420, 420, 430. That was extreme. So this was 8, 9 years ago. So we switched to millets, and now we don't even think of going and checking the blood sugar levels. So successfully with millets as an inclusive diet, we have got rid of major ailments. So this is the testimony that I would like to share, followed by 2 questions. I'm a person who have quit my corporate job in 2011. I started moving towards a sustainable life. And what I do is I talk about bioenzymes, making natural cleaners that we were discussing on the slides. And I also talk about probiotics for the gut microbiome and
Yes.
You know, the fauna and the flora.
In fact,
So-
it is the gut microbial world that is really responsible for our well-being more than ourselves.
So during my journey, we started with millets, but of late I've kind of become a fruitarian. I've been including a lot of prebiotics for myself, a lot of fruits, and I steam some vegetables and some tubers and some legumes. This is what I consume. So we stopped eating rice and wheat 9 years ago. Is it necessary to, you know, continue to have millets, or are we doing fine?
Yeah, you need to have millets. That is the basic staple food which has a lot of things that the human body requires. And fruitarian, vegetarian, I mean pure vegetables, and no, they all come and fall short. Because if you are becoming, your diet is fruits, then you have to eat 18 kilos of fruits.
We do
Because
really so much. We
that
do
is
eat so much.
Yeah, that's not going to work for
Okay.
the common man and the large numbers of people. Where do you get this kind of numbers? I mean, it's incredibly unsustainable according to me.
Sure. I have a second question. We have not completely stopped millets. We do have millets, like we cook twice a week or thrice a week, the grains which are important for us. And during my workshops, normally I talk about millets. So I was told by someone from a different school that, you know, the millets are hard fibers and which cannot be hard fibers.
There is nothing like hard fibers, actually.
So which cannot be broken down.
Now, no, let me answer. See, you have a tree, you have lignins. That is hard fiber, okay? So, all the grains that have actually lignans, that is precursors of lignins. So, in fact, lignans are actually the drivers of, don't get baffled, is so-called PMF and EMF, the electron motive force and proton motive force. Okay. So, it is the lignans that supply these driving forces. So, that's how these millets are wonderful, actually. I have explained in one of my lectures.
So, while we were talking about the lifestyle, with the kind of lifestyle that we are living in right now, so the mineral absorption ratio in our bodies are low. So, to what extent can our bodies absorb minerals from these millets?
Actually, the question that you are asking is actually related to water. We have screwed up the water. In fact, the water has to be structured and clean. Then your mineral absorption, because see, we have low TDS or very high TDS. So this is the problem with our mineral absorption. And of course, the gut has to be clean and probiotic. It's not you, your epithelial cells. They are actually helped by this microbiome to have all these things falling in place. So fundamentally, we come back to the same point that you need to have diverse symbiotic wellness microbiome created and recreated and rejuvenated and replenished all the time, and that job can be done only through millets and good vegetables and green leaves. Finally, and millets are very important in this particular respect, and most of my lectures I do tell them how to eat the ganji, the porridge culture that the whole human race practiced for thousands of years. So porridge, ganji and the fermented ganji is one of the most important ingredients in the millet food. So once a week or twice a week, you need to consume your food in the form of ambali, called fermented ganji, fermented porridge, and that is the best form of food that human beings can consume. You need to be on this millet food 90% of the time, because if everyone has to eat 18 kilos of fruits, then you are creating imbalance. And my personal opinion is fruits are meant for many other living things.
Not all fruits are meant for us, yes, true.
For us, if the fruit falls onto the ground, and that is yours.
That's right.
But we are devastating, plucking. And so I don't think human beings should be fruitarians. Personally, I disagree with that argument. Sure. And we can do all that you can do with fruits. All that things are available in
grains. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, small request. Sir, small request. We'll formally close the session and we'll give them an opportunity to interact with you. Right? I'll just make a small announcement.
We'll just finish this. Two more are there.
Okay, sir. Continue.
Yeah, stones in gallbladder, stones in kidney, prostate gland being inflamed, all these things are easily covered in the protocol systems of the 41 kind of thing. And what is structured water? Structured water is no complications in this issue. It is simple. When the water comes from rain, it just flows in the form of rivers. So there is potential energy carrying the water. And water being what it is, oxygen and hydrogen, the delta positive and delta negative due to the sp3 hybridized electrons, you have this delta positive and delta negative nature of the water, which creates hydrogen bonding, which is absolutely unique for this particular triatomic molecule, which makes water the most miracle liquid on this planet Earth. And that being the case, when it flows, when it is flowing, it catches certain minerals and things like that. That is why flowing water is the structured water. But then when you have these settled systems, we are running it through plastic pipes and then putting it in the plastic containers, and then we make it stagnant in the form of dams, and so it is losing its structured nature, because when you make them settle down, and lot of things starts happening in the water, and you have lot of contaminants which change the structured water. That means oxygen, hydrogen do not line up properly because of these issues. So if you want that to be lined up again, you need to go to the copper plate, which has the d orbitals freely rotating, which structures the water. So over a period of 7 to 8 hours, copper plate does this job. You can start drinking water and using water for food preparations, making the copper plate contact for 5 to 7 hours. Then you start seeing the difference. So this mineral absorption, all these things can happen properly. In fact, all your small digestive troubles can be easily overcome by just using this copper plate water. We call it structured water, that's all. I mean, you are orienting the oxygen and hydrogen molecules, and the hydrogen bonding is properly adjusted once it touches the copper plate, unlike your plastic tubes or stagnating water and all those things. So it is a simple thing. You just have to take a copper plate. This size of copper plate, put it in a steel water tank of 20 liters to 30 liters, can be cleaned in a matter of 7 to 8 hours. So overnight you keep it, and then you can use the water the whole day. And take this copper plate out, and the dust and the chemicals and the viruses, bacteria are going to be killed by this copper plate, and it accumulates. You can clean this with the tamarind water or lemon juice or tomato juice very easily. Even a kid can clean in 2 minutes and then drop it back. So if you have 2 of them in 2 tanks, you have all the time good water being supplied. So then after cleaning like that, please put your water into a glass bottle or a steel bottle, which is neutral and does not contribute to your contaminations. And that's as simple as that.
Thank you, sir.
1 minute to thanks each one of you. I will start with Surya for his passion for a millet and getting Mumbai to know about the millet journey. Along with Surya, I would like to thank Shavni as well, because I am aware about his passion. But to follow that passion, you need home support, your life partner support. And I think she has been throughout this journey with him, and which is really commendable. Thanks to you as well. Along with these 2 people, I would like to thank Telcom IIT Mumbai, IIT Bombay, Management Committee of IIT Bombay, and Deputy Director and Dean of IPS as well. Apart from all these people, I would like to thank each one of you. In spite of such a weather condition, festival season at home, you all have turned up and made this event successful. Thanks each one of you. Along with all this, I would like to say a big thanks to all the volunteers for their volunteering support with wholeheartedly to make this event a grand success. Thanks each one of you.
మరిన్ని అప్డేట్స్ కోసం STV యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి.